Hello my friends and welcome back to the rabbit hole. Today's video is going to be, I think, very fun. We are going to rank all of the palettes that I purchased in 2019. Best to worst, we're gonna talk about it all. Now I do have a couple of ground rules for this video. First off, this is only going to cover palettes that were released in 2019 as opposed to palettes that I bought on sale in 2019 that were released in the past. I like to do it this way because I feel like we can kind of, put into a box what happened in the year 2019 and kind of reflect on it. I just think it's more fun that way. Also, for this video, I'm not going to include PR because for this particular video, I kind of want to do some reflecting on what made me buy a palette, what drove me to fork over my credit card and make that purchase. The foundations video will be very different in that aspect because we're just going to cover foundations, period. I feel like when you purchase a palette, there is some level of, your own style that goes into it because you look at a palette, you look at its color scheme, and you decide if that is something that suits you. And one more thing before we get into this video, if you like this look, I actually have an entire video showing how to do it, and it's all drugstore. Yeah, you guys remember how I said we were gonna have to do some pre-filming? I feel like it really works in my favor today because I love this look, and it's so cheap to do, so I'll make sure to link that if you are interested. Before we rank these, some quick statistics. So I bought a total of 14 palettes in the year 2019, a lot very recently. I am drawing a line for the cutoff from my first Black Friday haul. Anything after that, we'll save it till 2020. But yeah, 14 palettes, only 3 of those I really regret. I did not return any palettes in the year 2019. I was overall happy enough with them to keep all of what I purchased. The brand I bought the most from in 2019 was Makeup Revolution. This is hugely ironic because prior to 2019, I did not like Makeup Revolution's formula, but they blew me away in 2019. And I also didn't buy from a lot of brands that I have in the past. Maybelline, NYX, a lot of the more drugstore brands, I just kind of realized I end up decluttering those, so I just didn't buy them from the start this time. So number 1, my palette of the year, the best purchase that I feel like I made, it's the Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde palette. I think a lot of it is that I feel like this palette is very me, down to the googly eyes that I myself put on there. I love this palette. The color scheme is so stunning. It is absolutely my colors. The purples in there, those beautiful orangey tones, this neon sea green, we'll call it sea green. It is so beautiful to work with. I originally loved her rose gold palette, the original, but the mattes were awful to work with, so I had stopped buying her palettes for a while because I hold biases and stick with them for a long period of time. These mattes are so incredibly easy to work with. It's just, every time I pull this palette out, I know I'm going to be happy with the end look. I'm so happy I got this. I love it. I know Huda can be controversial, and I don't know how much more I'll purchase from her, but I'm so happy I got this. My number 2 palette of the year, Manny MUA, I'm going to give it to you. This Moonspell palette by Lunar Beauty is gorgeous. It's another color scheme that speaks to me. You've got these beautiful purples, these beautiful greens, and then these really nice cool-toned neutrals. I love the versatility of this palette and the fact that it is still very unique. Easy to work with, incredible quality. The packaging is gorgeous. It's hard for packaging not to factor into some level, because I think that with palettes, the packaging helps you with inspiration. If you're thinking in your head, okay, I want to do something a little bit different, something maybe a little bit mystical, you look at this and you're already thinking, ooh, I know what to do. Number 3 palette of the year, I'm so happy with this Too Faced Extra Spicy Gingerbread palette, and it is a neutral palette, and I often do not reach for neutrals, but I love using this. I do feel like Too Faced has improved their formula over the years. It is not like using their older formulas. It's much more pigmented, very blendable, which Too Faced always was blendable, but the pigment is more intense in this palette than in some of their past palettes. Gorgeous color scheme, you can do anything warm toned, and it smells amazing too. And again, I'm sorry, but that does kind of factor in. I do mention that because if you have allergies, that may be something that you need to know. But if you don't, then it may be something that adds to the joy of using this palette. Number 4 on my list, the Nabla Secret Palette. I have to rank this high, even though this is a new addition, because the quality here is absolutely incredible. If I didn't do a good job of explaining this in my haul video, so let me try one more time. If you have more mature lids and creasing is a problem, this thing doesn't crease. It doesn't crease. I don't know how they formulated such gorgeous shimmers that don't crease, or at least not in my experience. I do think in some ways the color scheme is a little standard. I mean, it's your warm tones down here, your golds, your neutral colors, and pops of blue. Wow, but it's the actual act of using this that stands out to me. Number 5 on my list, the Makeup Revolution Patricia Bright palette. I did, of course, buy the multicolor one, and it just has so many options in it. This is a surprisingly easy palette to work with, considering that it is of a lower price point. And again, you know, so much versatility in here. You've got pressed glitters, you've got mattes, you've got shimmers, you've got a new texture that I don't actually love, but we'll mention it, kind of a creamed powder finish. But really, the reason this ranks so high is because of how much you can do with it. You don't necessarily, you know, if you love makeup and you're on a budget, you do not necessarily need to spend $500 in order to have the ability to make versatile looks. You can go with a palette like this that is great quality and has a ton of options. Number 6 on my list, Violet Voss, the Sugar Crystals eyeshadow palette is so gorgeous. This would have ranked higher if I didn't struggle a little bit with the mattes, because again, it's such a unique color scheme. This is one of those palettes that if you are pretty happy with your eyeshadow collection, but you want some more unique shades, this is absolutely what I'd recommend for you. The fact that I was able to get it for $25 kind of blows my mind. It's just such a fun eyeshadow palette, and I feel like that's really a big part of it for me. You know, for me, the words fun and eyeshadow really go together if you can't tell, so that's absolutely why I adore this palette. Number 7 goes to the Sephora collection and the Moschino collab. I've been told that's how to say it, so I hope I got it right this time. I love this palette, and I gotta say, this is actually my favorite packaging. It's so easy to use. Although in terms of confessions, Ara saw me using this eyeshadow palette one day, and she was like, "Did you take my computer?" I'm like, "No, look at it. This is not your computer." But again, you know, quality is really important to me, and this is incredible quality. I have not been disappointed with any looks that I've done using this palette. It's funny because I read the reviews and some people were not happy with the pigment, but keep in mind I tend to prefer more buildable. When I build up these eyeshadows, the look just lasts all day. It is gorgeous, it is easy to work with, which is again important for me. The color switch in it too, what a great idea. Can we make this a standard for palettes going forward, because it's so useful? And in a bit of a contrast to that, I am going to give number 8 to the Anastasia Alyssa Edwards collab. I don't buy a lot of Anastasia palettes, and you'll see why. It's really just that the formula of Anastasia palettes can be kind of tricky. These are very, very pigmented, but again, I can respect quality when I experience it, and these are incredible quality. You are getting so much pigment. You have to be careful not to overblend. Don't push your brush too hard, which I always have to fight myself not to do. But it's a gorgeous palette. I do feel like a lot of people that Anastasia released too many palettes this year for me to keep up with. Plus, it's not my favorite formula, so I don't buy too much from them. But I'm still really happy that I did get this. I'm going to give the number 9 spot to the BH Cosmetics Zodiac in Aquarius. I understand that this collab, or this collection rather, was not received well, and I understand why it wasn't, but I also, in terms strictly of quality, all these palettes have been incredible quality, every Zodiac release. I bought this little palette at a time when everybody was freaking out about blue eyeshadow. I just didn't want to overspend, $14 and done, and I'm happy with it. It's a great little palette. They always have a nice highlighter in the middle of it. Great quality. You can probably see I haven't used it that much. And I think that that's a lot of the problem with this collection. I don't think there was a whole lot of effort that went into choosing the colors, even if the formula itself is stellar. So yeah, even though it's great quality, it didn't rank higher for me, and it's ending up in a lot of people's misses of the year, because, you know, you gotta have a lot of thought that goes into a palette. Palettes are a form of art, a form of art expression. And if there's not a lot of thought that went into the design and the color choices, then when people go to use it, they're going to feel that and they're not going to love it as much. Number 10, and in all truth, I actually thought about ranking this a little higher. This is the Disney Aladdin MAC collab. This little tiny palette may not look incredibly interesting when you first look at it, but the end look with it is always gorgeous. It's actually one of few palettes where I have people stop me to compliment me on my eyeshadow, even though, again, you look at it and it's like, well, it's cute, I guess. But this one is one of those where the colors really do work together. It is a beautiful, more cool-toned eyeshadow palette that makes really gorgeous looks. I do think it was really expensive for the amount. It's funny, too, to put that into perspective. We were so used to the prices of a single MAC eyeshadow many years ago. That's how much things have changed. This is a great value compared to old MAC, but not compared to, BH Cosmetics, Makeup Revolution. So I guess I feel like it's probably going to be kind of a forgotten palette, if not MAC as a brand. MAC as a brand is kind of forgotten these days, but they still do have some hits. I really do still enjoy this palette. Number 10, and I really thought about ranking this one higher, but we'll explain. The Revolution and Tammy Tropical palette. This is a gorgeous palette. It's a beautiful palette. I really appreciate the red in here because for once, it's a really good red. Those are very difficult to find. I feel like the sole reason this isn't ranking higher is because I don't reach for it as much, and this is such a mundane reason, but I'm going to be honest with you. It's because I don't want to throw this away because I want to keep the shade names, but I also don't want to be bothered to have to move it. How incredibly sad is that? That is so sad. So yes, strictly in terms of quality, it's a great palette. In terms of a color scheme, it's a great palette. But I don't use it that much for such a ridiculous reason. Oh, it's so ridiculous, but it's the truth. The final 3 palettes in this video are honestly kind of regrets for me, but they aren't bad enough palettes that I felt like I needed to return them to the store. So let's just go through them. First off, we have the Butter London Teddy Girl palette. I got this for 50% off on some kind of an Ulta deal day, Diamond Platinum Perks Day. There you go, that's what it's called, Platinum Perks Day. In terms of quality, it is a nice palette. In terms of cohesiveness, I feel like it's missing something, and I don't quite know what. I watched somebody's review before I bought this, Makeup Just for Fun. I watch her videos often. She's really sweet. I'll link her below. She did a great review of this, and I think we ended up with similar conclusions. It doesn't make a ton of sense to have some of these shimmers as the small shades in here. Those could have very easily been large pans. This one in particular, I think that Ella is such a gorgeous color. It's that blue, green, brown shade, but it's in such a tiny pan compared to the rest, and I don't know why. These are very similar. These are very similar. It's such good quality, but it just doesn't feel inspiring. It's really a shame because Butter London puts out great quality, but I feel like they have not, in my personal opinion, really mastered eyeshadow palettes. They need to make more sense for them to be something that people will reach for, people will rave about on YouTube. So yeah, I guess if this color scheme calls to you, yes, the quality is fantastic, but I find it limiting, personally. Number 13, oh, Tarte, you didn't get ranked high this year. So this is the, what's this called? The Fall Feels Eye and Cheek palette. It's cute, it's fuzzy. I guess it's some nice fall colors, but again, not inspiring. You've got 2 mattes in here. This is supposed to be a cheek color, although you could use it on your eyes. But just way too many shimmers that just aren't exciting to me. A blue shimmer. Have never seen that before. Again, I'm not ranking this palette low because it's not good quality. It's great quality, that's why I didn't return it. But in terms of, do I opt to reach for it? No, I don't. I see it in my little drawers and I don't think, oh wow, I can't wait to use that palette. I just kind of forget that I own it. So, ultimately it is kind of more of a regret. I don't want to return things that are great quality and just regrets, so I still have it. But yeah, I honestly feel like Tarte's kind of guilty of this often. They often release palettes that I just don't feel had a lot of thought. going into them. At number 14, my most disappointing palette of the year. It's this Milani, what is this one called? Gilded Rouge palette. I'm mad at Milani. I'm mad at Milani because they had such a good formula and they changed it, and this is not it. You look at this palette and you think it's going to be one of the best palettes you've ever used in your life. The fact that it is $20 is incredible, but it's not. It's very powdery. It feels cheaper than it is, to be honest with you. It's a $20 palette. It should be a little better than, you know, a $5 Essence palette. So this is my biggest regret of the year. I don't think I'll buy from Milani until they go back to their old formula. What a shame. But yeah, I don't enjoy using it because it's difficult to work with and I struggle with it. You know, again, would I rank it as low if I didn't have such high expectations of Milani? Probably not. I probably wouldn't. But again, just you had such a good formula and you changed it. Why? Why? So that is all I have for today's video. Let me know in the comments below, what is your favorite palette of the year? Did you buy any regret palettes? Did you have any palettes that were so bad you had to return them? Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like, hit subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.